South Korea found itself in uncharted territory on December 3, 2024. President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law, a move that sent shockwaves through the nation. This drastic measure, unheard of since South Korea's transition to democracy in 1987, signaled a deep crisis. The situation was tense, with the future of South Korean democracy hanging in the balance. Fear and uncertainty gripped the nation as the implications of this declaration began to unfold. The world watched with bated breath, wondering what had led to this dramatic escalation. Was this a desperate attempt by a struggling president to cling to power? Or was it a necessary response to a genuine threat to national security? The answers were far from clear, but one thing was certain. South Korea was facing its greatest test of democracy in a generation. The events of the coming days would determine the fate of the nation. President Yoon Suk-yeol's presidency had been anything but smooth sailing. From the outset, he faced a multitude of challenges that threatened to capsize his administration. The opposition Democratic Party held a majority in the parliament, creating a legislative gridlock that stymied Yoon's agenda at every turn. His approval ratings plummeted as he struggled to deliver on his promises. Adding fuel to the fire were allegations of corruption and misconduct. Yoon and his wife found themselves embroiled in a stock manipulation scandal, further eroding public trust. The political climate grew increasingly toxic, with accusations and counter-accusations flying between the ruling and opposition parties. The situation was ripe for exploitation, creating a breeding ground for instability and unrest. In a move that shocked the nation and the world, President Yoon appeared on national television late on the night of December 3rd. His face was grim, his voice heavy with what sounded like apprehension as he announced the imposition of martial law. Yoon cited threats from anti-state forces and the ever-present danger from North Korea as justification for this drastic measure. He accused these forces of holding the parliamentary process hostage, jeopardizing South Korea's hard-won freedoms and constitutional order. With the stroke of a pen, fundamental civil liberties were curtailed. Freedoms of speech, press, assembly, and association were all suspended. Parliamentary activities were put on hold, and the media was placed under strict government control. The South Korea that had prided itself on its vibrant democracy seemed to disappear overnight, replaced by an eerie silence as the reality of martial law set in. Section 4. A chorus of defiance, opposition, and public outcry. The response to President Yoon's declaration was swift and furious. Opposition leaders denounced the move as a blatant power grab, a coup d'état designed to silence dissent and consolidate Yoon's grip on power. The Democratic Party called an emergency session of the National Assembly, determined to challenge what they saw as a direct assault on South Korean democracy. On the streets, anger turned into action. Thousands of South Koreans poured into the streets, braving the chilly December air to voice their outrage. Protests erupted across the country, with citizens demanding President Yoon's resignation. The calls for democracy echoed from the bustling streets of Seoul to the smaller cities and towns across the nation. The world watched, holding its breath, as South Korea stood on a precipice. Section 5. Democracy prevails, the lifting of martial law. In a stunning display of democratic resilience, the National Assembly delivered a resounding rebuke to President Yoon's actions. Lawmakers voted unanimously, 190-0, to overturn the declaration of martial law. National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-shik's voice boomed through the chamber as he emphasized the paramount importance of safeguarding South Korea's democratic principles. Despite initial resistance from elements within the defense ministry, President Yoon ultimately bowed to the will of the people as expressed through their elected representatives. The lifting of martial law was a testament to the strength of South Korea's democratic institutions and the unwavering commitment of its citizens to the rule of law. It was a victory for democracy, but the crisis had left an indelible mark. Section 6. Scars on a Nation. The aftermath and implications. The martial law crisis exposed deep fissures within South Korean society, revealing the fragility of democratic norms when faced with executive overreach. The crisis left many questioning President Yoon's judgment and commitment to democratic principles. Calls for his resignation or impeachment reverberated throughout the country, a stark reminder of the political reckoning that lay ahead. The crisis also underscored the critical role of a free press, an independent judiciary, and a robust civil society in safeguarding democratic values. The events of December 2024 serve as a cautionary tale, a stark reminder that democracy is not a spectator sport, but a participatory process requiring constant vigilance and unwavering commitment from those who cherish it. As South Korea moves forward, it must grapple with the scars of this crisis and work to heal the divisions that threaten to undermine its hard-won democracy.